Joining me now, as he does every week, is best-selling author Douglas Murray. Douglas, it's hard to know where to start. So much has happened this week with President Donald Trump's executive orders, including pulling the US out of the UN Human Rights Council, cutting funding for UNRWA, and now this groundbreaking plan to rebuild Gaza. What do you make of it all? And is he serious about the US taking over Gaza, or is it a negotiation strategy?
Well, first of all, I mean, all of these presidential orders and directives are, I think, fantastic. The pulling the US out of the so-called UN Human Rights Council is a bare minimum thing. Anyone who's spent any time looking at or sitting through the Alice in Wonderland procedures at the UN Human Rights Council will realize that no self-respecting liberal democracy should have anything to do with it. Sort of place where North Korea denounces Australia for its treatment of women, and the Iranian regime talks about the importance of nuclear non-proliferation and all that sort of thing. It's an absolute fantasy land, and it's always been a farce, and I don't really see why America or any other self-respecting democracy should have anything much to do with it. As for the Gaza announcements this week, they certainly break the paradigm, don't they, Rita? The current thinking on Gaza, as far as there was any, was that having started another war against Israel in October 2023, just the latest of many wars that Hamas-run Gaza started against Israel since Israel withdrew from Gaza in 2005, that the main thinking was, well, after they've lost again, everyone should just pay more billions to rebuild Gaza and hand it back to the Palestinians of Gaza so that they can start another war in a few years' time when they've rearmed and made their leadership a bit much richer. And I didn't think that was a viable idea. I don't actually think very many international players thought it was a very viable idea, but it was sort of the only idea that anyone had on the table. Trump has said what is completely true, which is Gaza isn't especially livable these days. Viewers will remember that all of our taxpayer dollars and pounds and euros that were sent to Hamas-run Gaza were mainly used to buy luxury apartments for the Hamas leadership in Qatar. And also, of course, very importantly, to build the huge underground tunnel network in which the Hamas authorities could protect their rockets and make sure that they were as safe as possible. And of course, also then hold young Jewish babies and others captive. All of this they ruined the Gaza. And, in my view, Rita, there is a price to be paid. There always has been historically for starting wars again and again against your neighbors and then losing them. Hamas lost this war. It's in the final processes of losing it. And I think it's perfectly appropriate they should lose land. That's what always happens in war. And that's why you shouldn't start a war. And it's almost as if there's a lesson there, isn't there?